for about 25 years. I spent most of it in politics in Vermont. I was an elected official for 8 years. I was a representative. I served the governor for 7 years. I was a CEO and lobbyist for the largest commercial construction association. There is commercial construction in Vermont, and owned and operated some businesses with my former husband. And so I've had the professional side. I've done well. And in 2010, my son took his life. And that really shifted my perspective and where I wanted to dedicate, where I actually became of service. You know, most of my life was of service, and it just shifted where I decided to serve and who I decided to serve.
You know, that's interesting, because you had something happen in your life that, warranted you to shift.
I had no choice.
And so tell us about that, because I know the experience that you had before we get into the book stemmed from trauma.
Right. So when my son took his life, this story is part of the story in the book, so I'm not going to go into too much to the detail, but the fact is that it shattered me, and I found myself laying on this grave and just wishing and begging for something to take me as well, because I couldn't stand the pain any longer. I really wanted to die like he did. And the one thing that kept me alive was my beautiful daughter, Ashley. And then I just got this message, like, if this happened in your life, then you're meant to do something with it. And so go do it. And it was at that moment that I decided that I needed to shift how I served the world. And I had to invest in my healing in order to serve. Because the more I served, the more I wanted to help others, the more painful my body became, the more painful the emotions became, because I was carrying so much shame, so much self-blame, so much anger toward the world for taking my son, that it was difficult to help others. You know, the saying is, you can only assist others in healing as far as you've decided to heal. You know, and I don't know the whole saying. I'm not very good at repeating the exact words of any kind of quote, but that's the basic is, if you don't take care of yourself and heal yourself, then you can't help others heal. So it's really created an opportunity for me to really find the hidden light that was within myself, that was hidden behind so many layers of pain. I think we might have mentioned this earlier, and my early childhood was fairly traumatic when it came from my birth father shot at us as a child. He was an abusive alcoholic, and fortunately, my mom met an amazing man that adopted me in the end, and was a great dad after that. And so, the trauma that you're stored within your body is also how you decide to show up in the world from a very early time in your life. And I learned many things over the last 10 years. And one of them is, the more you heal through some of that trauma, those limiting beliefs and those blocks that are within your body, the more light shines from within, and you stop seeking on the outside ways to be accepted and loved and cared for, and you realize that you're accepted and loved and connected from the inside out, not the outside in.
You know, that's so important, especially for individuals that are going through something, and you try to mask it so that you appear in the world that you're fine, but you don't actually deal with those things. And then you wonder why relationships aren't, progressing in a manner that you would like them to go into, or that, your life is not moving in the direction that you would like it to move into. And so how do you help a person to literally just kind of stop and look inside and just kind of take inventory?
It's really about becoming aware of your body. When you close your eyes and you take a deep breath, is there a pain? Is there tension? Is there something within your body that's drawing your attention? there's a couple of different ways that I actually help people. I actually become a vessel of energy through the divine, and I can do energetic healing through my hands and messages from the divine. And then there's another modality that I use. It's called RIM, regenerating images and memory. And I am the facilitator, and the client actually locates the information within the body. And you become aware of, through your imagination, you become aware of what's there in your body that you're storing and responding to life, and you're able to see through a different lens. And I'm just going to use different wording here, but a different lens based on new information that you weren't aware of. For example, as a child, when your father's shooting at you and you're hiding, like I was hiding behind the toilet, my mom and sister were hiding in the bathtub. And what occurred in that particular moment for me as a 3-year-old was, why am I not in the bathtub with my mother and sister, and why am I over here all on my own? And so there was a program that was set up, is that I'm unworthy, I'm not worth being loved, when in fact there wasn't enough room in the bathtub, and the best way to keep me safe was behind the toilet. Like the real answers are really there, except for your program as an early child or a young child to only see what you know then. You didn't have the information then to be able to see the full picture. And so I help people go in and identify that and release it and move through it. Not release it, really move through it and find a new awareness, and once you become more aware of maybe there's something more to it than what you realize, you're able to shift your whole perspective and let go of old resentments and old anger and fear, a lot of fear, old self-sabotage and limited self-esteem, and there's so much. Yeah.
And you literally, like, you gain your power back.
I think for me, I gained power I never had, and my success in life was from driving to prove I was worthy to be seen, and like everything I did was about, I'll prove I can do this. So I didn't go to college right out of high school, and I still was elected as a legislator and served 8 years. And I served on judiciary for 6 years and 2 years on appropriations. And so after doing that, it was like, okay, see, I did that. And that was like I thought at the time I was trying to prove to others I was worthy. Really, I was proving to myself that I was worthy to be seen. And so, the finding the worthiness is really by removing the masks that we are hidden behind, the walls, the vaults. I used to say that my heart was behind that little safe deposit box within the vault, within the locked doors, within the bank, within the lock, and like brick walls. It's like all of these different layers to protect yourself to protect me. And we do that because we want to be safe, and that's just a program. But the fact is, we continue to re-victimize ourselves, which I did through a lot of my life.
And I think a lot of people do that. And so, because you just don't know how not to.
Right. Right.
It's just that's just your method of survival.
Right. It truly is. Through most of my life, I read self-help books. I read tarot cards. I believed in mediums. Like I did all these spiritual things. I joke and say I belonged to as many churches as I was married. Again, seeking on the outside. Seeking on the outside for acceptance and connection. And not until I started to work, not until I was really shattered, not until I really truly was shattered, had no place to go other than to die or to change the way I was living. did I become aware that I was re-victimizing myself? And that's no self-blame or trying to suggest other people should feel even worse about themselves. It's more about awareness. Like the more that we try to protect ourselves, the more we stay in the systems that we know. It's comfortable. You know, the unknown is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's easier to stay in the comfortable, even though we know that's not what we want. The subconscious says, this is comfortable, we need to stay here. And so, and again, I said this, I got to get the stats to be sure, but our subconscious thinks faster than our conscious does by an exceptional amount, like 70 times faster. And I don't know if 70 is the exact number, but it's 70 times faster than our conscious. And we'll just use that as a number. Our conscious is our desire to change, to see something different, to believe that we can lose 10 pounds. We can do our New Year's Eve resolutions. Like we can stick to the things like, this is what we want. This is what I know is good for me. I'm going to do it. Our subconscious is programmed on what we know. And so that's your early childhood from 0 to 5 or 8, depending on who you speak to. Those are the programs on how you think. That's how you live. And so your subconscious is beating up your conscious. And so every time you say, okay, I'm going to change this, I'm not going to go for the same type of man, I know what's good for me, and boom, you're right back with the same type of man, because that's comfortable to your subconscious. It's operating out of fear more so than out of heart-based. So it's your mind thinking more so than your heart feeling. And so your heart, you know, when you make decisions based on your heart, some people say their gut, but either or, you know, when you close your eyes, you know what feels good to you and what does not. You know that. And oftentimes we override that knowing. We don't trust it.
I think that's important too, is to, you know, give yourself permission. You know, to give yourself permission to trust the decisions that you make and the reasons why you made those decisions.
Yeah. And, you know, I also say, I don't believe that there's any path that we're on that's not our path. You know, like our path is the path that we're on. And I explained this the other day. I see it as the trunk of the tree is the smoothest, most connected, you know, where our body, our soul is the trunk of the tree. And that's the most connected to a higher purpose, whatever you call your higher purpose, the higher connection. And the limbs are the paths that we choose to go on. And so the further out on the limb we go, the further away we are from our center. And so just because we're on the limbs doesn't mean that's not the path that we were meant to go. We just chose that path. Now it's time to get redirected. Sometimes it takes falling, you know, the limb breaking and falling to the ground and crawling back up again. Other times it just takes a little bend and you come back and you listen a little more. And so the more I'm using different analogies, but the more you dip your toe in the water, just dip your toe. You don't have to cannonball in, you know, just dip your toe. And the more you dip your toe, the more you spend, you know, I consciously spent an hour a week feeling through my pain. Not, you know, I've felt the pain all day, every day for a very, very long time. But I consciously chose to step into that pain an hour of a week and focus and work through, you know, different processes to start to let go. Because each time I did it, I started to feel lighter. I started to feel more connected. I started to trust the connection I had. I started to see more, or I started to realize and believe in the messages I was receiving from my son. So, yeah.
You know, that's so interesting, because now that kind of segues into the book, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it does.
And so, Women Who Rise. So tell us about the book. Where did it come from? Assuming it came from your experiences, but why was this book so important for you to put out?
Yeah. So it's actually Kate Butler from Inspired Impact book series. Kate Butler is the person who organizes this. She has, I believe there's 6 books that she's published. And it's a collaborative book. So there's, in this particular Women Who Rise book, there's 30 of us, 30 women who have chosen to rise above, rise through their challenges versus to shrink and stay in the pain. And each of these stories are different to each of our lives, but the connection of all of us is like we've chosen to step into the more difficult path at first to find the freer path in the end. And whatever our circumstances were and are. And a friend of mine was in the last book, Women Who Illuminate, sorry, Women Who Illuminate. I had to think a little. Called me and just said, I really would like you to speak to Kate, because I think that your story needs to be in Women Who Rise. So once I spoke to Kate, it was like, oh my gosh, it absolutely is. My goal, my intention, my belief, my life purpose is to help inspire other people who have gone through sudden and unexpected changes in their lives, to know that they too can move through that challenge and live a much more fulfilled and purposeful life.
You know, that's so important, because I feel, and I've spoken to individuals who feel as though they're the only ones that are going through their situation at that particular time. And so they choose to hold on to it, or they choose to hide it. They choose not to speak it out. And, you know, to your point, letting it go and getting it out there, it's kind of a feeling of, you know, the weight is lifting, and you can feel yourself kind of surfacing. It's kind of like, you know, if you're in the ocean and you're going down, and then you start to feel yourself rise, and you start to see the sunlight as you get closer to the surface of the water. And so I love this this concept. And so the individuals that are in the book, they have written chapters, and each chapter is based on their own experience.
Exactly. And so I think each of us have decided that struggling against that wave, you know, like you used the ocean as an example, as you're drowning, the more panic, the more fear, the more anxiety that you have, the more lost you become underneath. Once you give in and surrender to the universal direction, you become lighter and you start to float up. So the more you resist what's happening in your life, the more challenge you're going to find. And you mentioned that earlier, so it's like, you know, when people are going through struggles, they want to do it alone. It's fear that pushes you to do it alone. There's fear, it's shame, there's all kinds of negative emotions that we don't want to feel through. So there's no easy way through. Let's just put it out there. Like, if you really want to move through it, life is a healing journey. It is not a life of pain. And if you commit to stepping into your healing process, your healing journey becomes easier as you move through. It just becomes easier. And it's healing through your pain. Really, you never get over it. There's no easy way around it. It's really just moving through it. And I promise you, moving through it is so much easier an hour at a time. You find ways to you just find that you're lighter. You show up in life differently. You stand differently. You talk differently. You smile. You know, your energy when you walk into the room is so different than what it was before. It's amazing.
Guys, this is amazing. So Women Who Rise, you know, it's a great book for you, especially if you need to connect. And one of the things that you said, Kathleen, when we talked, and I wrote it down here, it says, the light has always been within, and we are all connected. And that is so true, because, you know, when you think about it, you're not going through something alone unless you choose to.
Right.
So there is always an opportunity for you to connect, and there's no timetable, right? There's no timetable as to when you should be over something.
Yeah. You're never over anything. It's when you move through it. You know, like you never, like, if you think that you should be getting over it, then stop shooting on yourself. You know, like you shouldn't be doing anything other than what you're doing in the moment. And the more that you hide, I just want to go back to that for a moment. It's like the more that you hide, the more shame you put upon yourself. And so what I have in the book is something that I haven't shared publicly. I've shared in a couple of different spaces, but I really haven't shared in large arenas, especially on paper. So this morning I had, you know, a huge breakthrough, like, oh my God, what the did I just do? like the world is going to see this. And oh, by the way, even after I die, it's still going to be in print. Like, what are people going to think? You know, like the fear just kicked in because I was afraid of judgment. And once I felt through that, I mean, it's really feeling through all your emotions, whether it's negative or positive. I did a live this morning on my feed about that. It's just once you feel through your emotions, you feel just much better. And you're like, okay, I'm doing this to inspire other people. And I have shown the more I have been authentic and open and honest, the softer I have felt inside, the more peace I have felt, and the more connected I feel. So the light is within you, it's within me, and it's time to just start to just peel away that darkness, whatever those layers are, and whatever way you do it. The book is helpful. Today's the launch day for the book.
Amazing.
And
congratulations. Yes.
Thank you.
And she's here with us. So that's amazing. Thank you on launch day to be here. I think that is fabulous. You know, here's another thing too. If you are, you know, looking at your life and your situation, you're saying to yourself, you know, I need some guidance. I need somebody to help me through this, to, you know, provide some techniques or some tools. Then Kathleen, you're available.
Yes.
And now how would they get in touch with you?
Yes. I'm an intuitive coach and a number of other modalities that I help you with. And you can reach me at CathleenElle.com. So it's CATHLEEN, the letter L.com. That's my website. You can reach out to me on Facebook at Cathleen Elle. There's both Kathleen with the letter L or Kathleen with the ELLE. And all the social media.
And you know what I find fascinating, guys, and you would probably also, is that you can find Kathleen on LinkedIn, and you actually on LinkedIn, you're doing meditation.
Yes. I'm doing daily meditations at 9 a.m. every day except for Sunday and today. And I post that in YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook is live. And then if you want to just watch the repeat, you can go back on YouTube or on LinkedIn, any outlet that's out there.
There you go. So you have an opportunity to not only read the book, and the book is available on Amazon.
It is today, and there's 20 bonus programs that go along with it if you purchase it today.
Oh, wow. So there you, oh my gosh. Yeah. You heard it here on the Author's Lane. If you get the book today, there are 20 bonus programs that you can get to go along with the book. And you can also follow Kathleen because she is, as she stated, she's doing meditation, and I love meditation. You know, meditation is one of those things that some people go, you know, I don't know how you do it. And I literally had to start in small spurts versus trying to do 20 minutes, and the mind wanders, and that's fine because that's what it does. But you have the ability to bring it back and recenter. And so doing it in small spurts allow you to actually get the full effects and get the full rewards of being, you know, just internally insightful, which, you know, I think is so very, very important for each of us to be able to do that. And just, it's self-care. Just, you know, care for yourself. You care for so many people so often. I was on a call earlier and they were talking about mothers because, you know, next week is Mother's Day. Yeah. And they were talking about mothers and how mothers care for so many other people. And, you know, when it comes time to care for yourself, you don't have time.
It's true. It's
And you
very
go, you
true.
know what, I don't have time for that. I got to do this or I have to do that. So it's an opportunity for you to take some time out and care for yourself. But
Yeah.
what I want you to do is I want you to go to Amazon. I want you to go to Amazon. I want you to get this book because it is definitely going to be a catalyst for you on recovery, a catalyst for you to just understand that you're not the only one. There are other individuals that are sharing their stories and their rawness of the stories, and there's no masking. It's just them in their rawest form, and you have the ability to see that and understand the importance of that. So thank you for sharing that with us.
If you're looking for the cover, this is the cover for today. So
Okay, so
Amazon for
there's two
today.
different books?
This is today's cover.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. So
Yeah.
if you want the 20 additional programs, if you hold that book up one more time for them to see that one, and then the one that I have over here would be after today.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's right. Exactly.
So Kathleen, I do have two questions for you.
Okay.
So everybody has a word for the year, this word that kind of grounds them, or this mantra that they, that they gravitate to, that keeps them, as I say, going north. So what would that be for you?
There's actually two words that I chose at the beginning of the year. It's allow and receive.
Okay. Allow and receive. I like that.
Yeah. I'm very good at giving, and I am getting better at receiving.
Because that's often the hard part, right? Is that you give so much, and then when it's time to receive, you're like, oh no, I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly. You got it, Cheryl.
Well, guys, I am so excited to be able to have Kathleen on as our guest, Cathleen Elle. I am going to, in the comments section, put all of her handles so that you can actually follow her if you are interested in meditation, if you are interested in getting a coach that will help you through your process. And it's a process. So if you're looking for someone to guide you through that, I will have her contact information for you to be able to do that. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am so excited. Congratulations on your book. Congratulations on today being launch day. I am looking at this being, just a phenomenal book. And guys, get the book. Just get the book.
Thank you, Cheryl.
You are so welcome. Kathleen, thank you so very, very much. Hey guys, thank you for joining us today. Definitely go to Amazon, get the book, and definitely join us every day, because we have an author that comes and just shares, opens up, just wants you to know why they put these words on paper and why it meant so much for them to be able to deliver it to you, in the hopes that you will receive it in the manner that it was given. So definitely join us every day, Tuesday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You never know who you're going to meet on the Author's Lane. We have authors of all genres. So we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so very much. And have a fabulous, amazing day.